Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. and today I'm covering Furnace, a game designed by Ivan Lashin and brought to us by Hobby World and Arcane Wonders. And Furnace is going to be one of the faster, meatier optimization, turn this into that Euro engines that I've played with, and one that manages to hold its own through some of the unique mechanisms and the way they play out. So, as a general high-level overview of the game, this is a game where the goal is ultimately to get the most money. You're going to have these piles of money over here. By the way, optional playmat. This is not part of the base game. You'll have to buy this separately. But you're going to have this money you're trying to gather, and you're going to be trying to have as much money as possible at the end of 4 rounds as this timer slowly counts down the track. And every single round is going to be divided into 2 phases. The first phase is going to involve various people bidding for various items across different, tracks of resources, putting the different tokens down and trying to gather whatever it is they want on those cards. Once you're done with the bidding, you're going to go ahead and gather the cards you want, putting them into the engine, and then begin the process of turning this into that as efficiently as possible. Now, that on its own isn't enough to make Furnace stand out. Where Furnace starts to stand out already is doing the bidding round. There's this mindset of compensation. Compensation is the idea that you don't always want to win, or even when you do want to win, there is a compensation for not winning. That compensation coming in the form of getting resources or conversions shown on the top of each card. So for instance, let's go ahead and take a look at this card over here. This card over here is going to give us the ability to turn steel into money twice per round, and each steel is going to give you 2 money. If you upgrade the card, you're also going to get 3 coal every single time you activate it as well. But when you're bidding for the card, if you bid for the card, you're going to go ahead and if you bid and don't win the card, you're going to get compensation in the form of 2 coal per bidding power. Which means if you didn't win with a 1, you're going to get 2 coal. But if you didn't win with a 3, you're going to get 6 coal. And that compensation is huge. It's a huge part of the game of Furnace as you start to think through not just what you want to win, but what you don't want to win as you slowly lay out your bidding chips on the various cards. Because having all the cards you want is helpful, but if you don't have enough core resources to get your engine running, well, it's not going to be good enough, unless, of course, you have the perfect combination of cards, which is unlikely to happen because I guarantee you someone else at the table wants those cards. From there, once you're done, you're going to get the cards you actually earned, you're going to slot those cards into your engine, you're going to get compensation for the cards you didn't earn, slotting those other ones and the other ones you earned into your engine, and starting to activate all the cards. And this is where you continue with the little effect of, going through your resource optimization engine. You're going to be able to activate each of your cards one at a time, starting with your basic card, although the order you can do how you want, but you're going to be able to earn various upgrade chips over here. And you're going to be able to use those to flip over and turn cards into better versions of themselves, which is going to be huge because every single round in this game, your engine is going to get bigger and better. Across 4 rounds, 4 tight rounds, you're going to get roughly, depending on the game count, depending on the player count, depending on the game, and how you bid versus go for optimization, versus going for compensation, you're going to have somewhere between, I would say, 8 and 12 cards in your engine total. And that last round is a doozy. That last round is you try to figure out the perfect way, the perfect balance of how to activate your 12 cards in the perfect order to generate as much cash as possible, because ultimately, cash is how you win this game. And that is basically the meat of Furnace. As far as what I like about the games is going to be a variety of different things. To begin with, the art is very minimalistic and yet gorgeous at the same time. Every single card is going to have, these cards don't actually flip, but most cards are going to have a, nice little art on the card, simplistic yet beautiful, and then when you flip to the upgraded side, a slightly modified version of that same art with a few more train tracks, a few more pipes of steam going off into the air, a little bit more built out city. All of the cards have gorgeous art across them, from the characters, from the box, from the cards themselves. Very minimalistic. Potentially, I can see this not pulling someone in, although these certainly pull me in more. But those overall work well. The playmat, by the way, I like playmats in theory. I don't like the storage of playmats. And I love the fact that this playmat, which does an excellent job of holding everything in place, also rolls neatly into the box and fits into the box, which means I don't have any of my storage woes. And the game's easy to teach. I basically covered 95% of what you need to know. You're going to have 1 page of components and setup, followed by a page and a half of rules before you start getting into variants. It's basically 2 sheets of rules is most of what you need to know. 1, 2, that's your rules. Maybe that other half over there, that's with game and stuff. Basically, all you need to know with the game is it's easy to teach, it's easy to pick up, it's easy to play. Like I said already, this game has one of the faster, meatier crunches together. What I mean by that is there are turn this into that resource optimization engines that I think are definitely meatier and more enjoyable, such as Le Havre is going to be a good example. but they also take significantly longer to dive into. And then you'll have lighter, quicker games that have that same turn, this and that. Oh My Goods is going to be a good example of that, but they're much lighter. They're not nearly the same meat as this one. I would say Furnace has a great cross point of being decently meaty and yet decently short, falling into a vein that makes it ever so satisfying and yet not a 3-hour long game either. This is a game you can knock out in 45 minutes easily, potentially even shorter, potentially even 25 minutes to half an hour if you're playing with people who don't take too long on their turns, move pretty quickly, and know the game already. And then the bidding. The bidding is going to be the biggest thing in this game, the thing that makes Furnace stand out above others. That idea that you're going for cards, trying to win some and lose others. This is a game where you think that putting out your 4 early to lock in the card you want would be huge. And it is. But holding on to your 4 so you can deny somebody else when it's relevant, so you can try to get the best time and place to put it in, so you could, if you put out too early, that also invites somebody else to drop their 3 down there and get a ton of compensation. Holding it to the end means they're not going to necessarily do that, but someone else's 4 might end up where your 4 wanted to go. That little tug of war of trying to bid what you want while also trying to be mindful of your own and others' compensation in the game is a delightful little twist that adds a ton of player interaction to this game, which is important because, well, we'll get to it in the things I can see others not liking. But yeah, overall, I would say in terms of things I like, it is quick, it is punchy, it is rewarding, it is a solid lawyer engine, it's great art, and all in a reasonable playtime while giving me a lot to think about and focus on. In terms of what I don't like, my biggest complaint about Furnace is going to be the lack of variability in the game. At least this is what we have so far. I'm already eager for expansions because right now, my biggest concern is that the more I play this game, the more I find it is mostly the same thing every single time, which is not the end of the world, but certainly is a complaint. You're going to be given unique starting buildings, which don't overall feel that different. They are different, but they don't feel that different. But then you're going to also be given your own personal character you're playing as with a unique ability. Now, those feel significantly more impactful, but there's only 5 of them, and they will adjust your strategies in the game for sure, but like I said already, there's only 5 of them, which means by the time you've played 2 or 3 games, you'll already encountered all of them and experienced half of them, and once you play your 5th game of Furnace, you've already had the opportunity to play as every single one of the 5 characters with their game-breaking in different ways abilities. And that's where the variability ends. The only other variability you'll see in the game is going to come from the way cards come out, the order cards come out, the different types of interactions you'll have with player A and B depending on one game to the next. But the core game is going to feel very samey. Even on my second play of Furnace, while I very much enjoyed my second play of Furnace, even on my second play, it was already starting to feel like that shine was a little bit worn off because it was the same game. And then the third play and the fourth play. It is the same game. It is a good game. It is a solid little resource turn this into that engine, but it is the same game every single time. As far as what I can see others not liking in this game, there's going to be a few other things in that category. And to begin with, half the game, you're on your own doing your own thing. You see, every single round of Furnace is divided, like I said already, into 2 rounds. You're going to have the bidding, which is a huge amount of player interaction, and then you're going to retreat into your little engine. Now, the first game you have at Furnace, you're going to kind of want to do it together as you watch people do different things, get a feel for how the flow works. But then once you have that first round done, people start retreating into their own little engines of, I'm going to turn this into that. I'm going to go ahead and take 2 coal. I'm going to move it into a steel over here. I'm going to take that steel and turn it to oil. But then I'm going to go ahead and generate these 2 upgrade chips. So I'm going to go ahead and flip my main card. And then I'm going to upgrade these 2 cards over here. That's great. I'm going to go ahead and keep doing this. And you're going to rinse and repeat, getting progressively more complicated each round as you add more and more cards to your engine. Now, not only does that mean that you're on your own doing your own thing, not paying the slightest bit of attention to other people as you go through it, but it's also a game where I guarantee you the other players could be doing things incorrectly, whether intentionally, which probably shouldn't, don't play with those people, or more likely unintentionally doing things incorrectly, and no one's going to notice because you're focused on your little resource engine, and you all just trust that at the end of it, you've done what you're supposed to do in this game. So, yes, half the game, a huge amount of player interaction. The other half of the game, you couldn't care less what other people are doing because you're focusing your head to your cards, doing your own little thing in this game. And it is a pure optimization game. At the end of the day, if you don't like the idea of a game where it's all about how can I most efficiently, well, I can cash in 2 coal for 2 money here, but I can cash in 3 coal for oil here, which can then turn into 2 steel, which can be converted into 4 more coins. The game is all about those small efficiencies. Where can you turn one thing into another most efficiently? And if you don't like pure optimization games, then that's not going to be something that, this is not going to be a game for you. And that pure optimization very much gives the potential for AP, for analysis paralysis, as you have one player sitting there trying to think through how they're going to more efficiently manage 10 different cards and the order they have to activate them in, because order is important. This is a game where you can't partially activate one card then activate another. You have to completely resolve one card at a time, which means it's a lot of time, a lot of room for players trying to min-max the way to slightly get an extra coin or two out of it, and because the extra coin or two can matter in this game across a mere 4 rounds. As far as final thoughts on Furnace, Furnace is a game that I really enjoy. I do have concerns about the variability. I do have concerns about whether it's a game that I enjoy as much a year from now. Am I still playing it as much, or am I still playing it at all? This is a game where I want an expansion today. I want an expansion that adds not just more characters. Give me another 15 characters. That would already be a good start. But I want some other elements, similar to the way Seven Wonders Leaders kind of breaks the stagnant feel of Seven Wonders. I want something like that for Furnace. I want a module, an expansion, something that takes the core game that I really enjoy, and then gives me a little spin on it, a little twist in it, something that changes up the experience, makes it more variable, and drives the game in different ways, different directions, so that I don't constantly feel like I'm playing the same game. But like I said, that's my one real complaint against this game. Past that, it is meaty, it is crunchy, it gives me a lot of choices. The bidding is intensely rewarding. Whether you win or lose, it is fun to watch it play out, and it does all that in an incredibly short time period. It's a game where the only reason I want to upgrade this already, by the way, speaking of which, the components are all fine, they all do their job. I want to upgrade this to like heavy metal tokens and coal and oil barrels. I want to get deluxeified resources and coins for everything in this game. I'm just not sure if I should yet, because as much as I like it, that variability is the one concern. Overall, this is a game that's a 4 to 5 for me. It's a great game, one that I'm really enjoying for. A solid little delight, because it wasn't one that was that much on my radar. I'd seen it, I'd heard about it, but it wasn't one that I was craving. But then when I played it, I was like, that was really good. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, have a good one.